Thank you, Zoe. Thank you, panelists. Although we do have a lot of semi-competing technologies in DCC, all of these companies are part of the DCC Alliance, which is a group of over 20 companies coming together to work on confidential computing, which we believe is the next big thing in blockchain to advance us to the next stage. So it is my pleasure now to introduce the former Content Chief Officer from CoinDesk, and currently someone who is starting something. We just talked about AI, so author of Our Biggest Fight, can't wait to hear more about that, and launching a consortium of organizations in decentralized AI, so very synergistic with what we're building here. Please welcome Michael Casey to the stage.
Thank you, Lisa. Okay, so from a sort of deep dive in the tech and really important in the weeds discussion about what technologies you guys are using to arrive at this holy grail of the DCC world, I'm going to take you up again to a higher level where I feel more comfortable. I'm a journalist. I've spent most of my life writing about the intersection of technology and society. Although I did spend a brief period of time at MIT with that guy in the background there, Guy Ziskin, who's not listening, but I'll mention him in a second, and where I was first introduced to ideas around, fully homomorphic encryption, and kind of got the vision at that time about why this is important. But Lisa just mentioned a book that I recently published with a guy called Frank McCourt. Some of you may have heard about this guy. He's a businessman who is on a mission to fix the internet. And the book is called Our Biggest Fight. And what we're trying to do with that book is actually reach the average person and get them to understand why these concepts really, really matter. And that this really needs to be a movement, that this isn't just about, a bunch of relatively wealthy crypto guys building their little network of tokens that earn them, whatever return, but that this is about essentially saving humanity from, let's face it, the absolute shit show that is Web 2. So how do we get to Web 3? How do we get there? How do we get people to care about privacy? That's really the mission in many respects of what this book's about. It's also about how do we build a system of sharing data with each other that is secure and reliable and lets us control our data and dictate the kind of relationships that we want to have on the internet. So much of the conversation here and elsewhere, I think, is about the infrastructure, about building models. I would contest that we also need to be out there speaking to the average person because time is running out. AI is moving as fast as we all know it is. And unless we build the right structure with privacy first and with data ownership at its core, I think we're in some trouble, right? So one of the things that I thought I might share with you is just a little bit of a story. I apologize, no slides because came in at the last minute, but this is hopefully going to resonate in some way. And, in the book we were thinking about, okay, so how do we get through to people? Because I'm sure you've all heard this idea, well, you know what? Privacy, schmivacy, I get the convenience of my connection to Facebook. I got all my friends there. And you know what? I got nothing to hide. So I'll just have to accept this. I understand your point, but that ship has sailed. I'm just going to give up all of my data, right? And of course, those of us who are in the space know how much that's cost us. We know that classic line that if you are not Facebook's, if something is free, you are not Facebook's customer, you are Facebook's product. But again, getting through to people is difficult. So we came up with this analogy, which I think is kind of useful. You can try this amongst your friends if you like. And that is, imagine if the post office comes to you and says, hey, I got an offer for you. I'm going to give you free stamps for the rest of your life. And you're like, oh, that sounds interesting. What's the catch? And the catch is, okay, yeah, there is a bit of a catch. And there's a few things. The first thing is, all of your mail, I'm going to read it. Okay. And by the way, I'm going to put a camera in your house, and I'm going to monitor everything that you do and say. Oh, and by the way, your daughter, she writes that diary every day, and I'm going to read that as well. And by the way, when I start to recognize that she's having problems with her weight and is concerned about her body image, I'm going to send promotional data to her for weight loss programs. And I'm going to feed all of her anxieties. If you were then offered the deal to get free stamps for a year, how would you feel, right? Of course, anybody would throw that idea out. But that's essentially what we've all signed off on in the Web 2 environment. We've basically given carte blanche to everything that we say and do online. And what we are contesting in this book is to say that this, in the digital age, is our essence as human beings. We are what we do and say online, because the line has become blurred between our digital lives and our physical lives, to the point, of course, where our very physical DNA is now fully digitized, right? So the very idea that there's an in real life Michael Casey and a digital Michael Casey is an irrelevant distinction now. We are completely caught up in the same construct. So it is essential that we basically recover control of the data flow that defines who we are as human beings. This is the core mission of this book, and I would say that for all of us who've been working in this space, the core mission that we should all take very, very seriously. But I'm a believer in tech. I'm a believer in AI. I think that the possibilities that come with this level of computation are just endless. That we could, in fact, go. We heard Ilya Polahuskin from NIA this morning to the AGI summit, giving us this idea of the fork in the road. On the left-hand side, there is a dystopian nightmare. On the right, there is a shining new Wizard of Oz type of world. We can get there. We can solve medical crises that have existed. We can solve climate change. We can do so much with the computational power that can come from these incredible machine learning models. But as you heard in the previous panel, we have to know where that data is coming from. It is, I would argue, so essential, because until we can define and control and basically give the level of secrecy that's required to the transfer of that information into these AI systems, we are going to build models that are essentially going to destroy our humanity. So, we've had the pause argument from OpenAI, which of course, as we all know, is really closed AI. And, the folks who are behind this model saying, you know what, trust us. If you don't, AGI is going to kill us all. So you better let us tell you how to regulate our model. Well, in reality, we're handing the keys to this system to these guys. So it's a race. It's a race against time. We absolutely need to move as fast as we can on this thing. And I'm totally sold on the idea, Lisa and Alex, that DeCC is an essential piece of what this is doing. So we mentioned the Decentralized AI Society is what we're calling it, the DAIS. A very nascent idea. I've got some of my colleagues here and we're launching this concept. We basically want to bring together all of the participants in what this ecosystem is going to look like. Some of them are building the physical infrastructure that's going to bring the deep-in networks, GPUs together. Some of them are going to be building things like the privacy layer that clearly the DCC movement is all about. Some of them are going to be building the computational marketplaces and networks. Some of them are going to be building data tracking systems, and some of them are going to be building open, decentralized machine learning and models. All of that will need to come together in a way that actually doesn't just stay within the silo of crypto, but moves out into the broader mainstream. We need to be able to get the narrative right. We need people to understand what this is all about. The way we're thinking about it is that this is an operating system for humanity. That at the end of the day, that is what we're doing here. Humanity is going to be defined by AI, whether we like it or not. It will be dictating who we are and how we live in the world of machines and computers. So as a result, we need to embrace these concepts as a foundational layer to how we operate together as individuals and as a society. So that's all I have to say. hopefully that was useful in some way.